Thank you for joining me. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with another person who makes the world a better place, and that is the illustrator of my second kids' picture book, Miss Camelia and the Google Culture Mount, Benja Hughes. Hello.
Yay! Hello.
So, how are you doing? All well?
I'm doing okay. I'm quite cold and I'm quite tired today, but I went to sleep at 2 a.m. last night, so I think I kind of brought it on myself, really.
So I'm not the only person who goes to sleep at 2 or 3 in the morning.
No, I feel like after midnight my brain starts whirring and activating, and
It's
I can
worrying
never
but
really get.
also working, isn't it? In a way, it's
Yeah,
we're like night owls.
yeah. I don't know why that is.
So, Benja, if you had only 3 minutes to tell me about yourself and have that be the only things remembered about you, what would you tell me?
Wow.
That's a bit of a heavy question, but maybe just
Wow.
an introduction for our audience.
The only things that will ever be
Yeah, that's
remembered
a
about
bit like
me
extreme,
these
isn't it?
2 minutes. Gosh, I would say I'm Benja, and I am I'm a guitarist. I'm a musician, and music is one of the greatest things that I ever had the opportunity and the privilege of discovering in my life, and was really my first love. I guess, although no, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't my first love. I think the idea of creating was really my first love, and that kind of came through before in music. It came through more prominently in drawing and illustrating things, and also in the love for nature. I feel a strong, I don't want to say connectivity, because
Connection? Yeah, no?
yeah, I mean, I think we all have the same level of connection to nature, really. But I guess I'm more. I feel very aware of it in myself, and always have done. Um, and that's always been like the kind of uh, foundation of everything that I do in my life. I don't know. Was that 3 minutes?
I don't know, actually, that's my fault because I was thinking when I wrote the question, I was like, oh, I need the clock to like make
Yeah.
sure it's 3 minutes because I don't want to interrupt. But, it's just like an introductory question to get people to know you a bit more,
Yeah.
myself included, because I only know you basically mostly through the illustrations you've done for my book, but and a
Yeah.
little bit from photography. But yeah, uh, yeah,
Yeah. A
it's
long
quite
time
fun
ago.
actually how we met and kind of how we got to work together, isn't it?
Mm.
Very strange how. Do you wanna tell the experience how we met? Because I know the story.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. When was it? First of all, like that
I was
was.
actually sorting through books last night, and I found on the day when I was photographing people, I photographed about 17 people on the street that day, and I had all the forms, the model releases with the signatures, and I
Yeah.
looked, oh, I'm gonna check Benja's to see if it's the same signature as on the illustration contract. And I think it was like 2 years, no, that's 2021 now, like 3 years ago in 2018, I
Yeah.
think it was, before I moved to Manchester. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
a while ago. It was just like a random,
Yeah.
isn't it? It was a bit
Oh,
strange anyway.
it was. I remember just walking around, and I think I was really hungover or something. I
It
felt
could
really
be, I
like
don't know.
I was really tired again, really tired. Probably went to sleep at 2 a.m. and and then we bumped into you, and then you started taking you asked us if you could take photos, and
Yeah, it
yeah, it
was
was really fun.
quite random a bit. Even if you weren't hungover, you'd be like, "What's this person taking wants to photograph me?"
I mean, I was quite happy. There's a certain level of vanity that I'm willing to expose in myself, and that day it it shone through.
Yeah, you're quite like chill. So, so when was the first time you realized you were good at drawing? Because you said you're mostly passionate about music, and we'll talk about that as well. Because I think you've released at least one album this year. I'm not sure, or like an EP,
Well,
or
yeah, no, I didn't release one yet. I started recording last year in the autumn, and I did plan to release it last year, but it's taken a long time, and I'm a perfectionist.
yeah,
So
I can tell.
yeah, so it's
How many songs do you plan to have on it?
at the moment it's about 10. But it depends. It depends on how long or how short they're going to be, because at the moment some of them I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them. Others, I don't know if I need to cut them down or extend them or whatever it might be. So it's
yeah, sorry.
no, I was just going to say it's all kind of whirring in the back of my mind at the moment. Don't really know how it's going to turn out.
Do you know how you're going to release it, or how? Because I'm not quite sure how you have to do it with the albums nowadays. Because I know they can be digital, but you can go through like proper. Depends what you think about proper albums.
The real stuff.
Vinyl or so,
Yeah.
it's quite.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do both. I think I'm these days everything is online. You know, like if I was to release just like physical hard copies, it's not going to get the same exposure as it would if I was to go through something like Spotify, for example.
Yeah.
But then the trouble with that is it's difficult to make money that way.
The payment structure. I'm not sure how it works because I haven't checked it in a while.
Yeah, I've spoken to some musicians that I know who are on Spotify, and they've said like it's really not advantageous. It's not really a very lucrative way of releasing music, but it's good in terms of its exposure.
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea to have both, like a physical copy, because when you're playing live, it's good to give signed copies to people who are listening to you and just discovering you on the spot. But it's also good to be online, because it's a far-reaching platform. It's much better.
Yeah.
I mean, much better. It's a different opportunity, to reach people on another continent that you're not going to be able to meet in person. So especially in these times. Have you thought about doing like, because I've seen people doing all sorts of things during lockdown. Have you thought about doing guitar sessions or like teaching lessons, or you're just focused on releasing your album? Have you considered it? Because I know some people have been doing other things just to get some work done. Or
I haven't thought about that as such, like guitar lessons or anything like that. I'd feel too responsible in a way. Like I feel really a lot of pressure to tutor somebody in doing something. I've never
maybe something for the future to consider. Maybe like a few years after you've got a few albums, you'll be like more
when I get when I get a certain level of notoriety, then then maybe.
Yeah, because I don't think I've seen you play live other than like watching on the phone and stuff on your Instagram stories. I don't think I've seen you playing live in Canterbury while I was living there, because I met you on the street, but then I didn't really knew you as a person, as a friend. So I didn't see you playing in Canterbury. And I think you were playing a lot at the Kent Uni area. And I was more I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was at when you were in Canterbury, I was at UCA.
Yeah.
Which is one of
the other one.
Smaller. Yeah,
it's creative arts one, or I think that's how you describe it. It's the more artistic.
Yeah.
University. I mean,
Yeah.
the other ones are artistic, but I think, they do like fine arts at that one, I think.
Yes. Yeah. It's an arts university, and architecture and like graphic design and fashion and various things like that. Yeah. I was there. I graduated two years ago now. God.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. It was good. And I was mostly kind of around that area when I was performing music. And like there are a couple of other places that are now non-existent.
Yeah, it was Bromley, or what was that called in the center?
Yeah, Bramley's.
Yeah, Bromley's, because I went there a few times, but yeah, I didn't catch you there. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, so there's exciting stuff happening in the near future or in the future with music. So let's talk about illustration.
Yep.
About your amazing illustrations. So when was the first time you realized you were good at drawing? When you realized it wasn't just like some scribbling and just
Yeah.
play.
I can't remember the first time I realized I was good at it, because I don't think that's happened yet. But I would say the first time I realized I loved it was when I was really, really young. I must have been like 3 or 4 something. And I remember getting these A4 sheets of paper from my dad, like his little sort of office, and just stealing these pieces of paper. And I would take like a big crayon and just color the paper in one block color, and then I'd turn it into an animal. So like if I wanted to draw a tiger, the piece of paper would be orange with like black stripes on it, but there'd be no shape of a tiger. It would just be like a tiger skin kind of thing. And that was like, I remember doing like a series of these sort of A4 pieces of paper that had animal print.
Oh.
And I really loved it, and I remember giving them to people, like at any opportunity I could possibly take, and I really loved that. And then eventually I kind of figured out that you can actually draw an animal on the paper rather than turning the paper into an animal. And then that's when I realized I'm good at drawing, because then that was the first step in development, I guess, in terms of my abilities.
Yeah, you could say that it's a step in a right direction towards illustration.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Whatever.
at 3 or 4 years old, you're quite young, and to still remember that so early that you're scribbling is quite. You have a good memory, and it's not just probably just a good memory. It's just you can tell how much you love what you're doing if you have such a good, strong memory about those moments.
Yeah, it's like it in some ways it feels less like a memory and more like a feeling, you know?
Yeah, it's like a sensory thing, isn't it? It's like you can
Yeah.
feel it. Either maybe you remember certain smells and it takes you back to that time, or you just
Exactly,
have a feeling within yourself that something was good.
Yeah. It's very strange. It feels it's very weird, like kind of going through old dusty memories, because it almost feels like they belong to somebody else in a way, you know? Like I almost feel like the older I get, the more lives I've lived. I don't feel like I've lived really one long life. I feel like I've lived separate little chapters, in a strange sort of a way.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I think the way I see them, for me personally, I see them as little chapters, like like it were a book, and it's like, oh yeah, that was that stage, and now it's this one, and it's like it kind of feels like a different person, but at the same time, it totally feels like myself. So it's like for me anyway. So because you can, I think yourself too. You can still recognize, oh yeah, that was me. You know, I was drawing. I love the animals, as you said. And by the way, I know you do like you love birds a lot, and you've done like recently. I know you've done a series of different birds, and I won't even attempt to say the names because I'm very bad with names. I'm absolutely terrible. So I'll let you do that maybe, because I'm like terrible at that. But I know you were doing like very quite unique birds, or like not as often met, or like we don't see them as often. So
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. The idea was sort of to kind of continue with this kind of lifelong process of drawing animals, and that's really like in so many different forms. That's been the starting point to a lot of things that I've done. And yeah, for this, I decided, instead of just recreating another animal, I I endeavored to create my own animals. And I'm mostly naturally kind of drawn to birds, because I'm a bird watcher, and birds are just obviously the best and the thing in the whole wide world. So I started creating my own birds as if they were real, as if you were to find them in like a field guide or something, and go out into the wilderness and look for them.
They're like
But then,
fine art birds, aren't they?
yeah, well,
That's how
thank
I
you
would
for
describe them. It's like, because your drawings are very, your illustrations are very detailed. So, I mean, you have a specific style, at least from what I've seen. I don't know if you do other kind of illustrations, because I know other artists, they use different mediums. Maybe they do collage and drawing and other things combined. But in terms of drawing, some people have a certain style and they stick to it and maybe improve that style, make it even more rich.
Mm.
And other people can be like juggling with different styles. Some people do like fine art paintings in the sense of more abstract, and at the same time they can do like illustrations for kids book. I'm thinking specifically now about my first illustrator I worked with, Rhiannon, because she does like fine art paintings which are more like decorative, and she does also for kids. So but I don't know, I have a sense that you do like very specific kind of illustrations, but I could be wrong, obviously, because I'm sure you, because you're very talented, so you could be doing all sorts of things. I don't know.
I yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think I think when it comes to drawing, I I do have a kind of I mean, I don't really see it as a style. Like, this
Maybe
is the
not yet.
weird.
Maybe in 10 years, people will be like Benja Hughes books, illustrations, and they'll, you know, when people say, oh, you can tell it's a Neil Gaiman book, or, you know,
Yeah.
what's the illustrator he uses a lot, for example, he works with Chris Rydell, I think. So you can,
Oh
they
yeah.
have like specific styles, but obviously they can probably do, it's just, I think sometimes people do that because for maybe authors, they know, oh, I like that kind of style. I just go to that specific artist because I know he's going to give me that. Or, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or,
I mean, when I say I don't see it as a style, I think it's because it's my own one. And like, for me, like the drawings that I do, like for your book, it it's just a drawing. Like, I'm just drawing something. I'm not really drawing in any particular way that makes it unique or special, because this is just the way I see it and I create it. But then to you, or to your readers, or anyone that sees a drawing of mine, they might think, oh, that looks different to how I would do it. This is a very unique kind of style. The same
yeah,
for anybody, really.
Yeah, because the way I got to work with you on this book is basically because I knew you, as I said, I photographed you, but I didn't really know you very well. And then I followed you on Instagram because I love your photography. You were like, oh yeah, I photograph sometimes, and I was like, yeah, sometimes you're very good at photography. So not just sometimes.
Oh,
And I saw a post you made. I think you made an illustration for. I don't know, either a friend or another commission or something like that. And when I saw that image, because you didn't have a lot of, I don't think you even had other illustrations posted on that Instagram. And I was like, I just looked at it and I was like, that's a very specific style that really appeals to me because it's so,
yeah.
there's so many artists, there's so many ways of drawing something. Like if you pick 10 illustrate 10 artists and you tell them, okay, you have this person, draw a portrait of them or paint their portrait, they're all probably going to do it differently unless they have a specific task to draw it in pencil or to a specific like realist or more abstract to that. But I think everyone will put their own heart into it, and they're just. I know you say it's not a style because it just feels not natural to you, but probably for us who are not very good at drawing at all, it'll be like, okay, that's it's quite particular. So yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
for me, it was what attracted me when I saw that image. It was quite warm, but it was elegant. It had something different. It's not something you see every day. I mean, I don't know. At least I didn't see that kind of style all the time. Or if I saw it, I saw it in very good illustrations by maybe older artists that have a classic, what I call classic style for me.
Sorry,
So,
everything's falling apart.
okay. Yeah. Well, everything's falling apart, not just in the video, but let's not talk about that.
Well, yeah.
Let's not make reference to.
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah,
I mean, I know which drawing you're talking about.
the one with your
It's
friends and yourself. Yeah,
yes,
that's.
that one was I was. It's interesting actually talking about style because with that I did something that I don't normally try and do, which was try to replicate something else that I have seen. Because I became at that time, this was like spring last year, I was looking at a lot of portraiture from Persia and India, and so I just like fell in love with it, like
They have
like the
lots
use
of
of,
details, don't they? Yeah, that's.
yeah, the use of colors and the framework and this, yeah, like the sort of floral details and the patterns. Like I just I thought it was perfect, like absolutely perfect. So I kind of wanted to integrate that somehow into my drawing, and yeah, so that, like, I did a few of those pieces, commissions for some of my friends, in which I just drew this kind of Indo-Persian inspired portraiture of them, really.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was quite cool anyway. I liked it a lot. So yeah, basically I saw that picture and I was like, that's how kind of it went for our working together. I saw that and I contacted you and I said, I don't know why it didn't click with me because I know you mentioned you did fine art when I met you 2 years ago, but I mean, people can do fine art and also can be sculpture, it can be paintings and all sorts of things. And I didn't really think much of it. And yeah, when I asked you, I think I've sent you the recording of the story, which was very raw at that time. I sent you the one I posted on YouTube, and I asked you if you think it appeals to you or if you'd be interested in illustrating it or something. So, yeah, if you want to talk about that, what did
Yeah.
you think of it? I mean, obviously, you got to illustrate it, but if you want to elaborate, speak a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you said that, and just listening to it, I just immediately knew that I wanted to illustrate it because it's such a just a beautiful story, and I could see images in my head as I was listening to you reading it, and so it just sort of, yeah, it felt very natural to want to illustrate that, because the imagery of the forest and the little house and the Hugel culture mound and the birds and the little bear, and I just had all of it kind of dancing in my head. So yeah, it just, yeah, I was really pleased to draw those images and actually bring them into some kind of reality.
For me, it was quite simple because when I saw that image, I was like, I really like this style. And then Benja is an illustrator. He's an illustrator. He's a musician as well. So it's probably a story that might appeal to him. So I was like, I'll just ask him. Because at the moment, at the time, I didn't even have a plan to make a finished, like a proper finished book, because I didn't have the money. Yeah. We were still, it was like, I think it was March, at the end of March, sometime.
Yeah.
End of March, early April, I think. We're still like in the first lockdown, something like that. We were uncertain what was going on with our jobs, and anyway, so I didn't really have the budget to go into like paying for illustrations, because I was still working with my first illustrator for the other book, Pash, in the Blue Bicycle. So I just wanted to ask you and see if you'd be interested. And after your answer was yes, I was like, okay, I can work with this, and when I can afford it, we'll do it. So we kind of did it over. How long do you think it took? Was it like 3 months, or? Because I think it was like in July or June when it was finished, when we actually had the copy of the book.
Yeah, it was about 2 or 3 months. I think it was. I remember it was quite nice actually, because like it felt like the process of illustrating kind of coincided with the changes of the season at the time.
Oh yeah, like, it did. Yeah.
It was because it was in the start, like I think it was March, wasn't it? Like late March, early April.
Yeah, I think something like, I'm not sure actually, because I wrote the story a while ago. But yeah, it has to kind of go through the seasons because of all the setup that takes place in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember like the process of drawing it and beginning with there it is. Hey.
I think the light is. Oh yeah, maybe your lighting is better because my lighting is a bit. Yeah. It's, you have the glossy cover. I've got the matte cover because I've changed it to. But yeah, it looks better in your light because my light is a bit.
But yeah, and like I remember the first few drawings I did of it were some of the early ones in the book.
Let's talk about the first drawing you did for the story. Which one was the first you did? Because that will tell a lot. Right, so it was actually getting the character right for this story, wasn't it? Because I didn't really have, like, I knew I had a character with a rainbow shirt and a hat, and I wanted her to kind of have wavy hair or like curly, but I didn't really have, I don't know, I didn't really, because I think I wrote it in like 3 days, and then in 5 days, in 2 more days, I've edited a bit more, and afterwards, obviously, but like the main story didn't really have much edits afterwards. Maybe a few bits later on, but yeah, it got written very fast, and then the illustrations were kind of bit by bit build up. And when I started with you, working with you, I kind of knew what to expect from that illustration, but at the same time, you never know, especially because I'm still new as well. It was like my second kid's book, so I didn't know exactly how it was going, and it was just like, you sent me that sketch, and I was like, yeah, that's just. It was like the book was written for you, the story. It's like, yeah, okay, he gets the character. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I feel like you did all of the work really
I think you did all the
for
work.
my illustrative part, because I was just like, it was a really
Oh
new experience.
no.
It was really no experience for me, drawing your vision. You know, like, this is your character, this is your world, and obviously I had a part in like bringing that into a visual reality. But I've never done that before. I've never drawn somebody else's story. I've always only ever drawn what I have going on in my head, just in and of itself, you know. And so, like, drawing Miss Camelia, at first I was like, I can see the house, I can see the woods, I can see the animals, I can see all of the things, but what does she look like?
Yeah, because that was one of them. I think that was what kind of brings the story together, her character. I think for
Yeah,
me anyway, because I don't know, I think if we didn't get her right, the looks and I don't know, it's kind of, it evokes a certain feeling when you just look at her, when she's like looking at the little bird. It's just like you kind of get that sense of what kind of story is going to be. I don't know. For me, obviously, because I wrote it, but it could be totally wrong. Maybe for someone who's watching, I don't know.
I think one of the things I really one of my favorite things about the book, like just the book of itself, like, is the correlation, like, between her rainbow shirt and like and the colors of the pages, and
Yeah.
just and the font and everything
Oh yeah.
as you go through it. It's just so bright and colorful that it just, I don't know, it just feels joyous.
Yeah.
Like, as I look at
Exactly.
it feels like it's, I don't know, it's sort of it feels it feels musical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly why I felt like when I saw, and initially you only sent me a sketch, like a pencil sketch. And I was like, even then, I was like, yeah, that's her. And I was like, I didn't really have like a specific, but when I saw it, I was like, yes. Because the hair was just right, the hat was right. It could have been any other kind of hat, but it was this kind of hat. And it's just like with the bow, and the shirt was the boots. Well, actually, the boots, it's a different story, but yeah, it was just like I knew you were. I think I had the feeling that you were going to get the story very well, because you obviously had the skill and the talent to do the illustrations, but also because you're a musician. And I was like, well, my character is a musician, and she goes with her guitar to the forest and does all those things. So I think Benja will get it very well. So I think that's why I was quite, I wasn't very nervous. Obviously, I was excited about the project. And hopefully, by the way, hopefully I wasn't too stressful with all my directions. I was probably at some point. But if you want to talk about that, by the way, if you want to like give advice to other authors who might want to watch this interview and consider working with you, what would you tell them? How some of the things they have to do right, some of the things they should really avoid, because otherwise they might piss you off and you wouldn't want to work with them. Not that you're a person who gets pissed off easily, probably. Who gets, yeah, you're
Oh,
very
I'm
easy to
curious.
work. You're very calm. I think you seem very calm anyway. But I think there's certain things, if you do, you will piss off someone, like professionally, if you're working with someone and you just pester them constantly. Because I'm always like nervous, because I know I sometimes speak so much, and I was like, oh, I want this, and I want this. And I'm like, maybe the person will be a bit overwhelmed, and be like, okay, I'm just the illustrator. Can you just let me do my thing? And you wrote the story. Now just let me do it.
I don't know. I think I always felt like I was coming to you, like, with questions, and like needing that your guidance was really, really important, because it's, you've written this story, this is your world, and as the illustrator there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, because what's you're creating the first thing that people are going to see.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to get it right, like everything you just said about Miss Camelia, and getting her perfect so that it conveys the story. So by you giving me all of these little pointers and hints and directions and guidance, it kind of alleviated some of the weight, you know. It sort of made me relax my shoulders a bit, so I could be like, yeah, it's good, we're doing this together. It's not just here's the job to illustrate the book, now do it. It was like, let's work together.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I understand from working with a traditional publisher. That's kind of, from my understanding, that's what I think happens. Like the author submits the story. If it's accepted, then the publishing company goes and maybe they even have a team of illustrators they work with, and they commission someone to do the story, but the illustrator and the author don't really talk to each other during that process, because obviously when you write a story, it's quite a sensible thing, and maybe it can be friction sometimes if the author is like, oh, I want that character to look like my son, or like they want some like specific things, and I know some problems can appear. So I think that's why traditional publishers do that, to avoid possible problems. But I think, obviously, because we published independently, I think for me it's very important, the collaboration. I think the story is much more enriched when you speak with the illustrator and you speak about the colors and the feeling and the scenes that you want, particularly for me about the scenes, because about the colors I can't really give too much, because I'm not like, I don't really know how all the colors work together. Like I think two colors would be like, oh no, I don't really like them. But once I see them together, I'm like, yeah, they totally work. You were totally right. And yeah, I think a collaboration is very important, and it will only enrich the process, as you said as well. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I think it
it's,
benefited our story, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the details.
yeah, no, I think it did. I really do. I think it shows. Like, it was just really fun as well, you know, like just talking to you about it, and sort of it felt really kind of special to be brought into this world, and kind of, I felt like I was sort of sat there with you and Miss Camelia, and we're just sort of, everything's just kind of formulating and
Yeah, I think it
becoming.
was quite a positive thing to work on at the time, because it kept our minds occupied with that rather than stressing too much about other things that were going on in the world. For me,
Yeah,
especially, it helped me a lot mentally. And I wanted to ask you, because I don't remember exactly. I was looking at some older pictures that I have stored on my phone from when we were working on the book. But did we have like a storyboard? I don't think we I mean, in a way we had, but it wasn't like really all laid out, and yeah, these are the, I think you were working, sometimes you were doing the pencil sketches to see if I'm happy with the point of view and things like that. But I think in general you were working almost scene by scene. Sorry,
yeah.
what do you remember? Because I'm not, because you know better what you did. So
I would I'd like draw up a kind of pencil sketch first, and then send it to you, and make sure that you were happy with the perspective and the way it was laid out, and then once I got the go ahead from you, I would then go in and add colors and details, and if there was a little, like, if there was a detail that I wasn't sure about, I just run it past you, and you'd just be like, yep, or nope, and then I'd do it or don't do it. And yeah, I went pretty much scene by scene. Some of them were a little more tricky though, so they were stressing me out.
which
So I
one
had
would you say was the easiest illustration to make, and which was the harder one to figure out?
Right, I'm gonna have to have a look at the book now.
Well, I'll tell you, you probably know which illustrations are some of my favorite. I mean, I love them all, but like some of my favorite is, well, the one that's right at the end of the story, and then one towards the end of the story. And now you can see what I was talking about,
Yeah,
Benja's illustrations being quite detailed. Like, I'm sorry, the light is a bit, but
shall I show on?
yeah, maybe show it on yours because it's a bit better, the light there. And yeah, if you can see there's like a bookshelf on there, and there's like I even asked you if you could like put the titles of the books. I was like, oh, like certain books to be in the book. It was like little details. So I think it was quite, and there's like a Romanian saying in there as well, like a badge. Anyway, about reading, I tell stories, therefore I exist. That's kind of what that thing means.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite scenes in the book, because it's just like that idea of someone just preparing for the new season and just staying indoors, having a cup of tea, thinking, oh, what seeds am I going to plant next? While there's like obviously a shelf full of books. So it's just like, it's very warm. But obviously the first illustration is, I like it a lot because it shows you the world she goes away from. So yeah, I'll show you this one.
yeah.
Like she's a musician, and
Where is it? Yeah, it was I remember, yeah, this one, the first one, um, this one, this was one of the ones I found really difficult to do, actually.
yeah, it wasn't we had to kind of figure out her posing and her face, how it was framed, and her
Yeah,
feet, her legs, and the audience as well. You had to get the right proportions.
yeah, proportions, yeah,
You had the audience, and was obviously, you look at all those details with the audience there. It's quite yeah. Initially, I
yeah,
think when I imagined that story, I didn't really think, oh, I'll have all those people, because you can quite tell there's lots of different people in there from different backgrounds, maybe coming together, and it was just like, I don't know, maybe because initially I think maybe I imagined them as a mass of people with the lights, in the crowd, but you kind of made it into a different scene as well, which works even better for the story, I think. And there's a little detail in there for those who know.
Are you referencing
The one
my
on the edge, yeah, on the edge. Yeah,
my
looks
my
like
presence?
someone.
If I that little guy there, if I just sort of turn my head like this, maybe
Yeah,
sort of.
because on some books,
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
cool. Yeah.
this. I just remember this one taking me a long time to complete, because I'd never drawn so many backs of people's heads before. That was quite something.
Well, I didn't make you do it. I was just saying there's a crowd, but you decided to do that. So you see, there's a style that I see anyway. It's a specific, and you probably
Yeah,
added certain things from your own life in the drawings that people will maybe never know what they are, but because you're just part of the story. But for you, they're important, I think.
I think one of those things for me was, I guess, like, because one of the key things that I've always found is really important to me in art, in illustrating, is, like I said, like animals, like illustrating wildlife. And so when it came to the part where I'm,
We have
you know,
animals as well.
where I'm like
Oh, yeah.
drawing wildlife, it was very important to me to
I
get
don't
it
know
right.
how much people can tell, but there's a little bear all the way behind it. But yeah, if they have the actual physical copy, they can see that. It's obviously quite small, but there's details in there, quite cute details. It just made me laugh when I saw that.
Yeah, I was just like, I wanted to take it from the, from the text, and just kind of, because the whole, like, the presence of the bear coming through, he feels very sort of timid, and also
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
quite funny, isn't it, to think of a bear as being timid?
Well, he's small, you know. He's a little
Oh yeah,
baby,
actually, yeah, you're right. It was a
and
bit.
like it was. To be honest, it was the way that the first video that you made of you reading this book.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that I really loved about it was the way you did the voices of the
Oh,
animals.
oh, did
Because
I kind
because
of
you
don't. I have a hate relationship with my voice, but I have to do it, to promote my work. I just have to read my stories because otherwise nobody hears of them, or rather than
yeah
my very close people. And it's just like embarrassing, but I think it was a nice thing to do at the time because just for my mental being, but also for I was thinking that, oh, what could I do to help people while they're in lockdown, especially people who have families and they have kids, especially families with kids. And I thought, oh, I'll just put a story online. Maybe someone will see it and get some nice time. So that's why I did it initially. Because, yeah, as I said, I didn't have money at the time to think about even paying someone to do the illustrations and bring the story more to life.
yeah. It was definitely it was very important at the time that we did it for you and for me as well. Like having that something to focus on and something to kind of keep working towards, and it really it pushed me through the first, because we started doing this pretty much as soon
Yeah,
as we went
I
into
think in May maybe when we started. I'm not sure.
yeah
Yeah, I think so. Something
yeah.
like that.
So it just the process of working on this was yeah, very enriching and fulfilling at a time when there's not much else going on in our lives. Like,
Do you remember I was sending you all sorts of videos? That's what I'm talking about when I'm overwhelming. I think I'm overwhelming people. I was sending you pictures with like I'm not sure what the English name is, but the was the not the mountain chicken? What do you call it? That wild.
oh,
When I
the
sent you that
capercaillie.
video with the not a chicken but wild turkey or something like that dancing. It wasn't the turkey. It was something smaller, but a species from Romania. It was quite beautiful feathers, and I know you were quite interested in seeing the dance or something. I don't know what it was, but I remember sending all sorts of to like kind of to get ideas what to put in the book, and obviously we could have put everything in the book because it's like there's so many elements. But hopefully it will encourage people to go out more in nature, explore nature more.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think it was the capercaillie that you
You're giving me probably
said.
the Latin name or something, not the English. Is that
No,
English?
yeah, it
Okay, I'm
comes from.
very bad with names, as I said. I'm terrible with names.
I think
Um,
it comes from the capercaillie comes from, like, the word comes from Scottish.
the wild rooster, I think it's called. Because the rooster
Ah,
is the male of the lady chicken or something. And the wild rooster, I think
yeah,
it's not that commonly met in nature. There's a few countries that have this. And yeah, you kind of have to go high in the mountains somewhere to see it, actually.
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, and
It wasn't
in
even related to the story. I think other than that, it was another bird from the. So yeah.
yeah, you were just throwing birds my way just to please me,
Yeah, I know
really.
because you said you love birds, so I was like
Yeah,
um, sending you all these clips of wild animals. Um,
yeah.
okay, so let's see. I've got a list of questions just so I don't get too far away from the point. So
Start
you
talking
said
about what?
that was the illustration with the concert picture was one of the illustrations hardest for you to. Was it the hardest to figure out, or maybe it was just in terms of time? It took you more time to do it, or it was
I
also
think
like figuring out the proportions. I think we spoke about it. Yeah.
it was the only one that frustrated me because there was so much going on with all of the people, and I've never had to draw so many people, so it was
Do you remember?
difficult to get it right, but
Oh yeah, I think the cover image was the first. Which one was the
yeah.
second image? I think? Was
The
it
second
Octopus?
one, the second one that
Oh,
I
it was
started
the cabin
was,
one. Oh,
this was the second one that
it
I
was the second.
started.
So maybe that's why, because it was quite a. You had to get all that atmosphere in one image, basically all the city atmosphere.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was quite a
Yeah,
lot of
so
pressure, wasn't it? To get
it
all
was,
that.
yeah, it was the first, like the first kind of proper kind of, because I did the cover image and then I did this one, so it was the first scene image, if you like, and yeah, it took me a good like month or so to actually come back to finishing it, because I had to move on. It was sort of
Sometimes
doing
you
my
just
head
have
in.
to let it be and then work on something else so you get other things done and then come back to it with a fresh eye. Because otherwise you just get stuck into doing one thing.
But I think one of the ones, the one that I found that I enjoyed the most probably is this one when she finds the cabin for the first time.
Yeah, I love
And
the image. It's so
I think this one's special to me because this is the first image I had in my head when I was hearing you read the story and when I was reading the story, because it's just like, she's come out of the cityscape and there's this sense of just, I'm here now. This is
I'm out
where
and free.
yeah, this is where I belong and this is where I need to be. And
It's
like
quite
it's everything's, the house is all disheveled and disused and everything's overgrown and the Hugel culture mound itself hasn't yet been constructed and
it's just a kind of a
just,
new beginning.
yeah.
But at the
So that
same
one I really
time, without
enjoyed.
leaving all behind, because she has the guitar and it's a part of her. It's not like you just leave everything behind and start anew. It's
Yeah.
a different phase in her life, let's say. So we're talking about like she's a proper human being. It's so funny.
Well, she is kind
Yeah,
of,
it is,
like,
but it's just like, I think if other people hear me talk about it, they'll be like, what are you talking about?
no,
But people
I
who
think
get
that's,
it, they do get it. So,
yeah, I think that's one of the greatest things about creating these characters for stories or for whatever it is, because these characters they're representations of ourselves and or manifestations of ourselves is probably a better word.
yeah.
Like she is you
And
and she is
I think
also
she's you.
me.
I was like, oh, she has like hair like Benja and eyes. And I was like, oh, it's cute. It was quite like a
Benji has
combination
eyes.
of the author and the illustrator. It was like this character. I think with all the colors, because I think of you as being a very flamboyant person. From back when I met you on the street, I was like, I just had that mysterious image in my head. I was like, oh, this is a very cool person. So I was like, oh yeah, it fits the character. So I felt like you could give that to my character to like
Yeah.
bring her to life. So I think that's why it worked. So
I mean, I remember when you met me, I had longer hair
yeah, it was
and I
quite
was wearing
long,
a
wasn't it?
poncho. I was
Yeah,
wearing a big blue
exactly.
poncho and like this little sort of
And you had like
Moroccan.
eye pencil, black eye pencil
Yeah,
around it.
eyeshadow.
It was kind of like faded, but you could still see your blue greenish eyes, something like that.
Yeah,
They were
yeah, the
like you
sort
could see. But anyway,
of yellowish.
blue,
Oh,
green.
I keep getting messages through to my phone and it's making my phone buzz and it's really distracting.
Oh, sorry. I can't hear anything, so that's okay for the recording.
Oh, that's good.
Sorry about you being distracted.
That's fine.
So what would you say would be something that would, if someone were to contact you, what would you tell them to have ready to send you, or something when they contact you? What should they say, and then what should someone really not do because you would really not like to do that, but you would not really like to work with them if they do that? What would you say? What would you say would be a no, no, no?
I think probably the same answer to both questions is like, I think the first thing is to consider the artist's work and the style in which they illustrate, and also the kind of things that they illustrate. So like if I think if somebody came to me, an author came to me and asked me to illustrate a story about, I don't know, the Wolf of Wall Street or something, I'm gonna have no idea where to begin with this, because it's something so far away from where I draw inspiration. So I'd feel really lost. It would be a great challenge.
It will be a good challenge, yeah, but yeah, it's quite different.
If it was kind of approached as a challenge, it would be okay, and it would be something to work with. But I think the worst thing that someone can do when approaching an artist is just expecting them to just do whatever because they are the artist, as if they just pull images out of nowhere. So
that it's close to, sorry, that's kind of close to what I was saying early at the beginning, when I was saying that certain artists, they have a portfolio which involves, okay, I can do this style, I can do this style, so authors can be like, oh, okay, it's all these styles, they can do this. But other people, they are more specific, and they have, I don't know, that's how it feels to me anyway. You have a particular style and they like to do that kind of style and explore that, those visuals into more into more depth. So they would like to maybe improve their style further in that direction, rather than go, oh, I can go and explore that direction, maybe that one. No, I think some people are just really focused from early on. Not that any of those ways are bad. Everyone thinks in a different way. I just think, yes, some people have a specific style and they want to work in that style, and maybe just slight divagations from the road, but not too much, like small branches, but it's their style. So as you said, if you go to someone and you contact them, oh, I want you to illustrate a story, and then they ask you to do like well, without giving names, but like to do a story in a style that's totally different than yours, it might be a good challenge and you might be up for doing it, but that doesn't mean you're going to give the person something that they actually wanted. It might be a slightly different style because you've never done that, so it's a different approach. But that's my
absolutely. And as the illustrator, you kind of have it running through your mind, like the question, why me?
Yeah, I think it can be also, can it be a bit insulting? Like if you have, especially with a website, if you put on your website, this is my work, obviously contact me if you like my work, but then you get random people asking for totally different. You're like, I could do that, I could try and do it, but you might not, I think it's just like, are you sure you don't want to maybe approach someone who has a proper portfolio geared at that kind of style? So because otherwise I think what can happen is like it can appear, problems can appear very early on if that happens, because it's like you've contacted the wrong person. Even if they're a very talented artist, it's just not the right story for them, or the right style you're asking of them. Maybe you should ask them in their style to do it. And because I think it's in a way like you're an artist, you do your thing, and it's like when someone comes and asks you, oh, can you just do it a different way, in a different way, it kind of makes you think like, what's wrong with my way? That's kind of how I would see it. I personally, like, my style is good, why don't you like my style? I don't know how you feel. I would think it would be a bit insulting, obviously I know many people are not that intended, so maybe they wouldn't even think about insulting someone, or it would just be they've never approached someone and they just do it that way. But I think that's a good advice. You said, like, approach me, like, this is my style. Think about it before you approach me, as long as you're happy with being challenged.
And then it's also the responsibility of the illustrator as well to further confirm that it's right to be working with this author. Like, for instance, when you asked me to illustrate this book, the first thing we did was I sent you a bunch of other drawings that I've made, and then you then confirmed with me, yes, like this is perfect, this is the way I want it to be. And that kind of it validated me as an artist, because you weren't just looking for any person who can draw, you were looking for somebody who can fit with the style of this story. And
sorry, you keep going. I was just sorry. I was thinking about the owl, because I remember when you sent me, because obviously I've seen that image, that initial illustration you did of those friends. But then I was thinking, well, I don't know if he does that style consistently or if it's just one off and maybe you have a totally different style. And I was like, can you send me more of your work? And you did. And I remember I don't know if was it an owl as well? I'm not sure, because I know I had an owl in the story. I was like, I like that. I kind of want that kind of style of animals for this story. So yeah, obviously it's.
I sent you some of my bird illustrations, and it was, I mean, this like illustrating this book was ideal for me in the sense that there were opportunities to kind of draw the things I was interested in. So it wasn't just that, it kind of fit, the story fits my style and my style fits your story. It was also just the fact that I love this stuff.
I think. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
that's why I was saying that. I think it was written for you to illustrate it. And it was just like a good fit, very good fit.
Yeah.
So what would be one thing that would be a really no-no? Would it be this one, that if someone contacted you and they would ask of you to do a totally different style? Or I don't think this would be a no-no, it would be just a challenge, wouldn't it?
I think it's a difficult one. Like that's a big kind of no, but then also it depends on how you go about it. Like I said, like if you are actively sort of trying to steer the direction in which your illustrator works, then like who even are you as an illustrator? You're literally just like a vehicle, and your hand is being sort of told what to do, and there's no creative license. And that's probably the most disheartening thing as an artist, is losing the ability to create and to make something with your own creative artistic input.
Yeah, because you're a human being and you're an artist. You're not like a machine. I'll be like, I'll just put the machine to do this, and I'll give them tasks. You do that, and it's just my story. No, it's a collaboration, and you have to totally give that control. Because I was talking with Danny, one of my other illustrators, and I was telling her like, it kind of feels like when you give your story to someone to illustrate, you have to have very good confidence they will do something good with it, because it feels like you're giving your child away to someone. It's like you're giving it to a nursery or even more than that, So it's like, you have to have trust as an author. For me, I have to have trust in the person, even if I don't know them well. I need to trust they're going to do a good job, because if I think, oh no, they might not be fit for the story, but then I still contact them, then obviously you're going to run into problems. It's only logical, because you kind of even felt it, but you're like, oh no, I'll contact them anyway, and then I'll tell them what I want them to do it. Obviously, I have specific scenes in mind that I wanted illustrated, but at the same time, I wanted you to put your own touch on the story. I wanted to enrich the story, not just do the sketches and paint them. And I don't think it works very well if someone were to do that. For me, that's what would be a no as well. It's just like, find someone else. I'd rather work on something else. Because if you don't feel appreciated as an artist, it's just, maybe sometimes you can do it if you really have to do it, if you maybe need the money, but in the long run, I think it would be burnout, and it's just never good. So I would advise that would be my advice. I would tell people maybe just wait and wait for the right project. Just don't rush, because otherwise you're gonna hate yourself, hate the person who commissioned you, and it's just gonna be a whole big mess. So yeah, it wasn't the case for us. I think we took
Secretly,
the
I
right
hate
steps. You were like, okay, so let me know if this is good. And then I think we worked, we communicated well. So yeah, hopefully I wasn't too pestering, but yeah.
No, I think it was very easy the way we did it, because we were both very open and we both had the same goal and the same vision in mind, and yeah, we knew what to do. We knew what each other wanted, I think.
Okay, so I have a few interesting questions, a bit fun questions, I call them. So, would you rather be able to control people's dreams or the weather?
Oh,
I'm sorry if I'm keeping you too long, because I'm not sure what the time is and I don't know how much time you have. I'm just assuming you're at home and you're not going anywhere, but...
Oh no, I have...
Oh, it's 7 o'clock, okay.
I have plenty of time.
Okay.
What was the question again? Sorry.
So, would you rather be able to control people's dreams or the weather?
Whoa. People's dreams. Does that mean like what they see when they sleep, or does that mean their ambition?
Their dreams, not their goals.
That's quite stressful. I think I'd prefer to control the weather.
So you don't want to be like Morpheus or something.
I mean, it's a difficult one, because then if you control the weather, then you're also responsible for all of the seasons and like the growing of plants and the migration routes of birds. And
but you would like that, don't you? Because you like animals. It'd be a big responsibility, but you'd be like the god of nature or the weather.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I feel like anyone with that amount of power is probably going to screw it up. me included. I'd struggle to wake up in the mornings anyway. But I'd probably say weather. Okay. I think I'd rather, certainly weather.
Okay. If you knew you were going to be stranded on an island or a mountain, or an island with a mountain, who and what would you like to take with you? 1 being, 3 items. What would your picks be?
Whoa.
So 1 being,
who and what?
And 3 items, 3 objects.
Right.
Inanimate objects.
Okay. So one of the inanimate objects would be probably my guitar, which would probably be a terrible choice to make, because it wouldn't benefit me in getting off at all.
Well, but you could defend yourself with a guitar. You could ruin the guitar, but you could use it as a weapon if need be.
True.
You also entertain yourself playing it and keep yourself sane, composing music. I think it's a good choice.
I think to be honest, if I was stranded on an island, I would take things so that I can set myself up on the island and live there forever.
Yeah.
Rather than like trying to get off the island. I think it'd be quite nice. So I'd take my guitar. I'd take a machete. That's one thing I do.
That would be very useful to have. Yes.
Yeah. Machetes are
especially if it's like a tropical island, you could chop and drop and take care of your forest.
Chop open coconuts and get water.
And again, use for protection.
Exactly.
Make fire. So
yeah. So guitar, machete. I'd probably have to take 1 being as well, did you say?
Yeah, 1 being as in human, or it could be an animal, as long as it's a being, and 3 objects, like inanimate things. So yeah, I mean, it's a thing, so things are not normally alive.
Any being. I would probably, at this point, I feel the sort of obligation to probably say my girlfriend, but
That'd be a good choice, I think, yeah.
it's a question, you know. I don't know. It's either that or it's I take like just a like a pet dog or a pet pig or a parrot or something that I can just have as companionship, and also they can protect me probably better than my girlfriend could. So
I don't know. I mean, I don't know your girlfriend so much. If she knew martial arts, I mean, you never know. People can
she's
surprise you.
yeah, no, true. She's pretty strong. She could do a good job, I reckon, on an island. So yeah, maybe I'll take her instead of the pig.
Than a parrot. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sure there'll be good companionship, but you know,
yeah,
there's only as much you can do without actually talking proper words. Maybe you wouldn't lose your
that's true.
ability to communicate very well. Although animals have and birds have their own place, so parrots can
Yeah,
speak if you um,
train them up.
train
Yep.
them up. Yeah. Okay. So, and what was the other? What would be the other object? So three of guitar,
Oh
machete,
yeah.
your girlfriend.
Um,
The other of well, not the other one of those three objects.
the other object would be ooh, this book. I'd
I
say
don't know how useful that. Well,
I
I
would say
mean,
this book, so I can read it and I can sleep peacefully in the nighttime.
okay. Well, thank you. That's very nice of you for me, because I don't use money. I don't know how much it will help you maybe make a fire, but you'll probably make a fire from sticks and stuff like that. So, in the worst case scenario, obviously, if you
It'll teach me how to make a hugel culture mound. So
yeah, exactly, good teacher, but yeah, depends what kind of island you're on. If it's like a tropical island, if you're on a bit more. On an island that doesn't have much, doesn't have many trees and bushes and shrubs. Yeah, that would be
yeah,
very good book. That was the point actually of that book, to teach people how to do a hugel culture mound, and yeah,
there you go.
all
Yeah,
having fun. Um, who would you like to have over for lunch or dinner? Classic questions.
yeah. I feel like these are the kind of
Very
questions
unique question.
I should already have answers for these questions.
Because you probably hear them all the time, but you never think seriously about them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
really
Anyone, who would I like to have over? I mean, of course, there are some obvious people in mind. Like it would
and
be
why.
great to have. It would be great to have David Attenborough over. I'd love to speak to him um, and yeah, and meet him. Like that would be spectacular because he's been my hero for my whole life, really.
I was
So
gonna
yeah,
say he'd be good to be on the island. He could teach you about lots of things, but
that's
then
true.
he,
Yeah, maybe we
he
can.
must
Maybe
have so much
what
knowledge. So
we can replace my girlfriend with David
well, I don't know.
Attenborough.
I wouldn't dare do that. So I would just say, well, let's have two people on the island. Oops, sorry. Anyone else or just him? You could have more people if you
Um,
want. I'm open.
ooh, I mean, you know, how long have we got? Like, if I could probably say 100 people that I'd love to have over,
Have like a
but
party.
yeah, maybe just loads of David Attenboroughs.
Oh
Just
my God,
they're all David Attenborough, but there's
like
52 of
clone.
them.
Yeah, that would
That,
be. Okay, so whose biography would you like to illustrate? Maybe that would be David Attenborough. I don't know.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
you
it probably
could,
would be because of all
because
the
that would
animals.
involve a lot of
Yeah. Um, or maybe yours. I'd
Mine,
be happy.
mine is
Yeah,
not interesting.
I'd be happy to illustrate yours. I feel like we've got a good illustrator author relationship. So
Maybe one day when I'm old enough.
yeah.
Yeah, let's hope we'll live to see that. Um, what would you like to do if you could go back in time or forward?
Ooh. I I would love to. If I could go back in time, I would love to go back to ancient Egypt. Um, or just any of the any area in the ancient world, and just see how things were. And I'd be terrified at the same time. The butterfly effect, and all of that. I don't think I'd go into the future. I'd avoid that completely. If I had the power to go into the future, I wouldn't do it.
I think that's what I was talking a few days ago as well. I'd rather go back in the past and see how some things were looking back then, 120 years ago, or how a book was written or something. It's just like
I might just even go back to like sort of, I don't know, the Neolithic age and just stay there, probably.
You'd want to stay there.
I think so. I'd probably change the course of history, but that wouldn't matter to me because I'm only in the Neolithic period. So I don't know.
Well, you never know with the knowledge you have if you were to stay there. So what kind of books do you like? Do you like fiction, non-fiction, physical books, audio books, like digital books?
I love physical, actual books. I mean, like who doesn't really? Like just the kind of feel of a book and the smell of a book. And old books have a kind of just a real beauty to them. I love old books. I've got a lot of I've got a lot of old like illustrated poetry books. I really like poetry books, and I'm very interested in old Persian poetry, like Omar Khayyam and Rumi and Hafiz.
I remember because you were mentioning a while ago. Yeah, he has beautiful poetry, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, fiction, non-fiction?
I'd probably say non-fiction generally. I'm much more interested in sort of history books or historical books, and like I said, like poetry books or philosophy books or books that convey ideas, I guess. I find really interesting.
Okay. Favorite movie, favorite book, favorite script. I'm not sure if it applies that much to you, but favorite illustrator. So no worries, I don't have that many questions left. I won't keep it
away. Favorite movie? That's a really difficult one.
One of your favorite movies.
One of them.
Impacted you in a profound way, more than others.
There's a film called My Octopus Teacher, which is on Netflix.
Is it a movie or a TV series?
It's a movie, but it's a documentary, and it follows the story of this man's relationship with an octopus, and he, like, it's perfect. It's beautiful. I didn't expect it to be my favorite movie ever, but it really, really is. I don't really get very emotional when I watch things generally, but a documentary about an octopus made me cry. So
okay, so that's
very good.
Reason to add it to the list.
Absolutely. Okay. Favorite book? Ooh.
Favorite illustrator while you're thinking about the other options? If you have a favorite illustrator, I mean.
I'm not sure I have a favorite illustrator that I can think of.
You mentioned a few times that you like Persian art.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. Very intricate designs, very detailed and very colorful.
Yes, like not so much an illustrator, but an illustrative style, I guess, would be that.
I've got a book that you might enjoy because it's like stacked here. I think it's called probably something, Chris Van Sandik or something like that. He wrote some, he illustrated and wrote some stories, but like his illustrations are very intricate as well. They're very detailed and quite, they're a little bit like similar to yours, or your style is a bit similar to his because he's quite old. He's like probably 80 now. I think you would like his work anyway. I'll put it on the screen if I remember after when I did the video because I can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
I think he published a book, How to Talk to Fairies or something like that. He's got several books. I think he's like Norwegian or from that part of the world. So favorite book?
Yeah, probably, to be honest, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I read that a while ago. Well, I think when high school, very good book, isn't it? What did you like?
It is. I read it while I was traveling around Malta a couple of years ago, and I think at the time I felt a bit confused about my life and whether I'm living in the way I should be for myself. And I think after finishing it, more than any other book that I've read, it really it gave me a comfort that I don't have to worry, and that I'm on a path towards something, and what that thing is good and wholesome, and it sort of it naturally kind of shifted my own perspective of myself, and yeah, so absolutely Siddhartha. Also another book that I really do love is The Living Mountain by Nan Shepherd, which I read last year while camping.
Living Mountain.
The Living Mountain, and she wrote. It's based in the Cairngorms in Scotland, and basically she writes how.
It's non-fiction, from what?
Yeah, how she, by going to the mountains, connects with the mountains and becomes part of the landscape, and how the mountain is not just the sort of pinnacle of rock that she's walking on, but it's also the air that she's breathing and the water that's trickling beneath her feet and the gorse bushes and the eagle flying in the air, and herself as well, that when she is there, she also becomes the mountain. So it's a really beautiful book. It's like poetry and philosophy and storytelling and biographical. It's just, yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it sounds. I've been reading more biographies lately, and it sounds like a very good one to add to the list. Because I like, some biographies can be just like, oh, I did that and that and that. I don't know, or they're not very deep. While others can be very poetic, as you said, and not just tell you, oh, I experienced that. It just kind of makes you feel the experience she or he experienced, and brings you to that moment in time. It's just good writing. That's what good writing can do. Okay, one strange question, and then two last questions actually. So, what's the strangest thing that happened to you or that you witnessed?
Oh God, the strangest thing. That's a really difficult question, Crina. I don't know. I can't think of these kind of. There's been quite a lot of strange things. I feel like my life has been one strange thing. I'm a strange.
It makes me laugh because I was interviewing people in Manchester maybe like 2 years ago with this question, and it's quite funny what everyone says. Everyone has a different answer. And I remember someone saying that though, that I feel like my whole life is a whole strange experience.
Yeah, I guess maybe one of the strangest things that's ever happened to me was, I mean, it's strange as part of it. It's also one of the most amazing things I think that's happened to me. is I was in Morocco a few years ago, and I was traveling with this like bus tour into the desert, and I became really ill. Like I must have had food poisoning or something. It felt like food poisoning, but then I ate all the same food as everybody else on the tour, and no one else felt ill in the slightest. Whereas I was like throwing up constantly, and it got to a point where I was on this bus, tiny little bus full of people.
Not the best place to like feel sick.
Yeah, and the roads were so bumpy. We were in the desert, so it was in the middle of nowhere, and the heat was like 40 degrees. And I fainted and threw up, and it was an awful experience. I basically sort of exploded physically, and then I remember the moment that I fainted. I had this sort of the moment before I fainted. Actually, I saw a bird fly over the bus, and it was a hoopoe. And the hoopoe is in the Persian myths and in Middle Eastern culture, the hoopoe is the bringer of death. So if you see a hoopoe and then you faint, and if you know this, and if you're a bird person and you're very superstitious like me, I thought I'd die. So then when I fainted, I had this kind of hallucination of seeing my sister in her bedroom, and I was in her bedroom too, and I went to go and hug her because I hadn't seen her in a while. And as I went to hug her, I went through her, and she didn't know I was there. And then after that moment, I woke up again, and for like about 10 seconds, I didn't know who I was or where I was.
It was like an out-of-body experience for a brief moment. Maybe your sister is a very close person to you, and you wanted some comfort, or
I think so. I really think so.
Sorry, I'm laughing. It's not really something to laugh about. It's just now that we're looking back, it's funny to talk about it. I think at the moment it wouldn't have been very funny. I think it would have been a bit traumatizing.
It was terrifying, but looking back on it, it's like, it's hilarious. Like, very strange. And but I think of it as one of my favorite moments in my life. I wrote a song about it as well, which will be on the new album. So
I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so I know I said I have like 2 questions a while ago, but actually I have one question that might take a bit long to answer, and then just a general one that's it's fine. So because I want to build a food forest, could you tell me if you were to pick just one fruit tree and then maybe 9 or 10 perennials, which one would you pick? Like to define yourself, or I don't know, something to say, Benja, this is Benja's guild. I don't know if you know, in permaculture, they use this concept of making tree guilds. And it's like you have to have a tree, a fruit tree, and then have certain plants to help that tree grow and give fruits and give a good bounty, something like that. So I know you like foxgloves, so I'm sure that will go in the guild. Even if they're poisonous, they're very beautiful plants to have in the garden because they attract pollinators. But what else would you pick?
I would, absolutely foxgloves, because they, when I was born, according to my mum, like foxgloves were everywhere, and so she always associated my birthday with foxgloves.
Very flamboyant plants. I know I've said this before. I've used this and abused this word. I said about our book that it's a very flamboyant book. I was like, using the word, but it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd also have to. I'd have an olive tree.
Okay, olive tree.
The olive trees are so beautiful.
Sorry, I said perennials, but I meant it's like when you build a guild, it's meant to be like a little food forest. So you need to have like a tree, and then shrubs, bushes, perennials like smallers, vegetable. You can have like a vegetable or like a little, basically like a little food forest. So, but
Okay.
also helping plants that are not necessarily, maybe they're just medicinal or just to help pollinators.
Yeah.
So olive tree.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine at the center of this would be an old ancient olive tree with like its twisting kind of limbs. And I really love olives, so that would be wonderful. Definitely. I think also, can I have tomato plants in there? Can I do that?
Cherry tomatoes, big tomatoes. What kind of tomatoes? I'm being
Big.
very specific now,
Yeah.
We're talking about my future food forest.
Yeah. I feel like you're actually planning this. You're gonna like
Yeah,
buy
I
me all
am
the
actually.
seeds.
I decided last night because we were talking about staying up all night. I was like, I'm gonna pick some people in my life and I'm gonna ask them their favorite plants and trees and bushes and be like, okay, I'm gonna plant this when I get the land, whenever that's gonna happen, and be like, this is Benja's guild, this is Danny's guild, and have like a Arthur's stable. I'll have like.
Yeah. You'll have
Just be in the center and be like, ooh.
everyone in the form of foliage.
Yeah, being like the forest, feeding everyone.
Yeah.
Be like nice memory.
Well, then I'll definitely have
Cherry,
tomatoes in there.
cherry,
And
cherry tomatoes.
cherry tomato. To be honest, we could probably throw some cherries in there as well. Because
like a
I think I'm
dwarf cherry under the
yeah,
the
a little
nearby.
cherry thing. What else can we have?
We need like 4 or 5 more.
Okay, we'll probably we could put in some nettles.
Yeah,
To
I
make
can't wait for nettles. I've been waiting. If the weather keeps being warm, I can go nettle picking. I can't wait.
Yeah. Do you make nettle tea?
I make, well, you can make tea as well. It's very good actually. I had some with nettle tea and mint. I bought a while ago, but I make soup. It's very good. It contains a lot of iron.
Oh.
It's so delicious. In spring, we always go picking nettles around here because they grow wild and they're so good. Yeah, they're very nutritious. So usually in springtime it's like free food, but it's very fresh. It's very, and you can also freeze them. Although I don't really like freezing things that much, just eating them fresh. You have never had soup with nettles, made of nettles?
No.
You should try it. I think you'd love it. It's quite delicious.
Yeah.
And made with rice and like boiled rice and like it's kind of like a bit of a broth soup. It's not like the typical English soup, like thick soup. Yeah, I mean you could blend it, I guess, and make like a nettle creamy soup. But this is the one I make is more like a broth. I mean, not just me, the one we usually eat. Very delicious.
Yeah.
You should look it up. Look it up on YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm probably gonna make a tutorial this year. I mean, make a video this year of how I cook it because it's very easy and it's just very delicious. Anyway, okay, nettles. What else?
Nettles. We'll probably have to have some kind of dock leaf in there as well. But, like
have like I forgot what's the name of the comfrey. Because it's like a very good chop and drop plant apparently. So you can cut it, you can give it to the animals, to ducks. Very has flowers, good for bees. Comfrey. I don't know. I'm saying that. I don't know. You can pick whatever you want.
I'm just thinking dock because like with like nettle stings, that you rub dock on your sting and then
it's
it heals.
quite painful.
And then the dock is like they always grow near nettles, and so it feels like having nettles without dock would be
Wait, are you saying duck or duck? Because I'm thinking
Duck.
about the ducks, you know, that go on the river.
Yeah, no, dock, like DOC. Like they've
Yes.
got
Okay, okay, I
big,
got it wrong. Duck.
big leaves.
Okay, I don't know it. I need to look it up. I don't know the English word for it. Maybe I've seen it, but okay.
I'm sure you have. If you're picking nettles, then you've definitely seen dock before.
Okay.
What else can we have? Maybe something a bit more flamboyant and exotic, perhaps. I think we should throw in like a prickly pear cactus.
Oh
That
yeah! Oh
has
my God! I was just looking at that like 5 days ago. I found this channel on YouTube, and this guy had like a prickly pear variety. I mean, it was very. They had beautiful plants, beautiful flowers, and he said it has really good fruits as well. Like
they
I've
do.
never
Yeah,
eaten one, so I don't know prickly pear. So it would be a really good to try. So, and I think
yeah,
it would be a very good ground cover. I remember that's what this gentleman mentioned. It's good to cover the ground, to protect the ground, and basically you don't have random weeds. You have this one, which is beneficial in your garden.
Oh wow.
So yeah, prickly pear, very good choice.
Ah, thank you.
I don't know how I'm going to grow an olive tree in Romania, but I'm going to make a greenhouse and do it.
Yeah,
Let's figure it out. Steps, we're getting there.
absolutely.
There you go.
Uh,
Yeah, we've got a few.
yeah. Is there any more space for anything
Yeah,
else?
you can add more if you want, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the olive tree. So maybe 3 more, 4 more, but yeah, if anything comes to mind. I know some people need to do research because I just dropped the question on you.
Yeah.
I like so many things, so which one to
Yeah, I
pick?
need to have
Very difficult.
my plant book in front of me. I can't remember what plants are
Yeah, the
anymore.
permaculture book.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. We can leave it at that, if you, and then I'll come
I
back.
think it's, you know what we should do as well, like we could maybe throw in like some sort of arrangement of rocks
Yeah,
and
because it
have a
will
bit of
go
a
very
rock
well with the
garden.
prickly pear and the olive tree. So it'll be a nice
Very,
arrangement. But they're
yeah.
not like really. You could put moss. I don't know if this would really work together, but we'll see. Moss could be nice on the rocks, maybe.
Yeah, mossy rocks. Yeah, absolutely. Have a kind of sort of
Nice soft.
Mediterranean garden sort of theme.
Yeah,
That sounds great.
like a woodland. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to pick
Endless.
2 more, or should I just let you?
Oh no, I'm happy with moss. I think to be honest, we could probably scrap everything else and just have moss in there.
No, because you need food.
10 different varieties of moss.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that'll be fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm looking for like a specific thing to say, oh, this is Benja's guild. You know, it wouldn't be anyone else's guild. It would be because obviously everyone loves maybe cherry tomatoes or like olives, but that combination is like specific.
Yeah, you definitely want to just have moss then in that case.
Yeah, I love moss. It's very, very beautiful. It grows easily as well, so it's very nice and soft. Okay, so what else? Is there anything else you'd like to tell our readers or viewers or listeners? Anything else you think I didn't ask you about and you'd like to mention? Obviously, I'll put your details on the screen. I'm sure by this point they will be on there from the beginning anyway. But anything, if you think anything I didn't ask you, you would like to mention, please do.
Yeah, no, I haven't got anything off the top of my head really. To be honest, other than just I hope that we can eventually, hopefully soon, in this very peculiar time, get back outside and do these kind of things and look at these plants and gather the nettles and
Yeah, I'm
build the hula
definitely going.
ground. all of these things, because it's something that I feel I'm really, really missing right now in my life. I'm sure a lot of people are. I'm sure you are.
Yeah. Nature.
And hopefully, come the spring, things will be lighter and brighter and happier, because it's been a long old winter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think that's it, really.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving me a big piece of your time to chat
Is
with
it?
me. It was very lovely. And now, one last thing before I end this, I'll just mention it and I'll be like, bye. I'll just end the conversation because I'm going to make it very weird probably for everyone. I'm going to tell that too. But yeah, just want to say I love you and have a lovely evening. Bye.
Bye bye.
Take care.